Hello and welcome. Been a long time, but never too late to come back. Some things just get me a little hot up under the collar. Honestly, didn't know if I was ever going to come back, and then I saw this, and it needs to be discussed. I've been a fairly public supporter of Baker Mayfield during his time with the Buccaneers, and obviously he's having himself a tremendous season so far, really a tremendous 2 seasons thus far. This being the start of his second year. But we've got to talk about this. Baker Mayfield had some Tom Brady quotes talking about really the Tom Brady era Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which, yes, Baker Mayfield was not a part of, for those of you scoring at home. The quotes, essentially, to paraphrase them, talk about how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were a stressed out and high-strung team when Tom Brady was their quarterback. So, this quote has me pressed up against the wall for a number of reasons. You can say what you want, Baker Mayfield, speak as you please, but understand there are consequences to the things that you say. And nothing you choose to say is going to go unnoticed when you're the man following up Tom Brady, speaking about Tom Brady. And first of all, it's just really never a good idea to look backwards in life, just in general. Speaking on the past, really not necessary, right? You can reflect and have some good times, but do you really need to look backwards in life? Just avoid living in the past, live in the current, think about the future. Another thing that's driving me crazy is Baker Mayfield wasn't there. So you're speaking on something that you didn't directly witness. Now, you may have close relationships with individuals who were there. However, you yourself were not. So you're not a primary source for the topic. So when it comes to this subject matter, everything you're saying is hearsay, right? You're taking words that other people have given to you and then expressing them. I don't know if that's such a good idea. Keep it on you. Keep it specific to things you know, that you witnessed, okay? To talk about something that you didn't actually see, right? So your opinion is potentially swayed by the biases of others. I don't love that either. An additional sticking point for me, and this is a simple one. This is kind of like I feel like it's the get off my lawn take, or portion of the take, is, listen, I'm not disputing Baker Mayfield's point in the slightest. I'm sure the Tom Brady era Tampa Bay Buccaneers were high-strung and stressed. Do you know why? Because there were expectations. Look where Tom Brady came from. Look at what his entire career was, and represented at the time. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had to win. They were a team that had 0 success, brought in one individual singular player, and then were expected to climb to the highest peak of possible success in a very short amount of time. Of course, it was high-strung. Of course, tensions were high. It shouldn't be breaking news. That should be a very obvious take. And it's a situation, again, Baker Mayfield is not going to be familiar with. I realize Baker Mayfield may have been in situations of winning football in the past. But to say that you would have any sort of a grasp on what a Tom Brady-led team should, would, or could potentially feel like feels out of bounds in the least. And there are multiple ways to skin a cat. So I'm not saying that you have to be stressed out or high-strung to become Super Bowl champs or to have a career like Tom Brady is having. All right? I'm not saying that in the slightest. But think about Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going for a 3-peat this year. Do you think every day when they get in the locker room on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, or when they step out on the field for a Sunday and they're trailing, do you think that it's not high-stressed? That the atmosphere is just loosey-goosey? I'm sorry. I don't know that that is the case. I think when there are expectations placed on you, generally speaking, yeah, it's going to create a little bit of stress, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And again, there are multiple ways to skin that cat. So yes, you can be successful without putting that high tier, high level of stress on yourself. But to expect anything else out of a Tom Brady-led team, I think, is naive. And even if your attempt, if you're Baker Mayfield and you're saying this quote, even if your attempt is to be kind of cute, because I realize things can be taken out of context, especially when you have quotes being read via text, and you can't necessarily always hear, or people don't necessarily always hear the tonality of the voice, see the face when you're saying the quote. You have got to be wise enough. When you've been around enough football and around enough high-level football like Baker Mayfield has, you've got to be wise enough to know there's a high potential of your quote being taken out of context and react accordingly. Note down, okay, I'm going to speak on Tom Brady. I had better watch what I say. Like, you know that people will tune in. That's going to be headlines and clickbait all over the internet. Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady, those are big names. So, of course, what you say is going to be relevant, even if it wasn't meant to be relevant. And people are going to perceive it however they please. You're talking about the most publicized football player of the 21st century. And you're playing for the team that he just played for. It's only been 2 years since he retired. And he's not even out of the public spotlight because he's in the booth calling games every Sunday. Again, you can say as you please, but you need to understand the potential ramifications that can come from things you say. And again, you don't know what you don't know. Baker Mayfield's doing some great things in Tampa Bay. I don't think any Bucs fan is disappointed or would disapprove of Baker Mayfield's tenure thus far with the Buccaneers, myself included, right? But you don't know what it takes to win a Super Bowl, right? You've never been there. You've never done that, okay? And yes, there are multiple ways to do it, but you can't attest to any of them. Tom Brady has been to 10 Super Bowls. He's got 7 NFL championships on his resume. I make YouTube videos occasionally. I would hope somebody would put me in my place if I started calling out channels with, millions of subs who are monetized for their way of creating content, right? At a certain point, you need to just, yes, you can say what you please, of course. But at a certain point, you need to know who you are and know who you are not. And I don't think you need to go out of your way. And I realize he was prompted with a question, but there are plenty of different ways to sidestep, dodge, or indirectly answer while answering a question. I don't think you need to go out of your way to speak on the past, especially when it's a past that you didn't witness, and it's a past you didn't witness that had a level of success that you pray at night you will one day be able to obtain. I don't like the quote. I think it's a little weird. Just not a good vibe. Don't like it. Not a fan.